Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is a special episode, so we'll actually talk about Sinraptor. Now, even though there are some other pronunciation for this, and some people call it Sinraptor, but I like to call it Sinraptor because I think it's just pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool name that way, and its name means Chinese thief in Greek. Now, just to remind everybody, just because it has sin, and it does not mean it's evil. I mean, even though it's more of a religious, even though sin is more of a religious word in a way, but even though it is actually Greek for Chinese, can you believe that? So, anyway, Sinraptor was found in Asia, pretty much around China. Lived in the late Jurassic period, around 150 million years ago. About 25 feet long and approximately weighed 1 ton. And of course, it's a carnivorous dinosaur, so it actually eat meat. Now, with Sinraptor, it's actually related to a group of dinosaurs called the Allosaurs. So it's very closely related to Allosaurus, Yangchuanosaurus, and a few other kind of dinosaurs that are called Allosaurs. But since that Sinraptor is not as big as Allosaurus or Yangchuanosaurus, it's actually going to be more specialized, pretty much just hunting down dinosaurs that are actually probably medium-sized. So medium-sized kind of dinosaurs. I mean, it would actually hunt the sauropods probably on occasion, but it probably would not actually be the most common carnivore in its time, because the Yangchuanosaurus was actually the top predator during that time, and it's another allosaur, so it actually be big. So Yangchuanosaurus is bigger than Sinraptor. Now, Sinraptor has a very short, kind of a short skull, not very long, and it's pretty much weak for bite force. So its bite force is pretty much going to be pretty weak. So it's actually probably going to have a bite force probably pretty close to maybe like a lion. So it'll be pretty close to that. So because if we want to say weak for its size, it would actually be weak. The bite force would actually be weak for its size. And then when you actually look at Sinraptor, it does have blade-like teeth, does have 3-fingered claws on each hand. But keep in mind, just because it actually has longer arms does not mean they're actually going to be useful for reaching out to grasp at prey. Because if we look at another dinosaur like Acrocanthosaurus, it has very robust arms, but it cannot move its arms perpendicular in many different ways like we can. Because you see, if we actually looked at the design of the arms of allosaurs, we actually see that they don't really move their arms side to side like this very much, and also they didn't actually reach out very far enough either. So they're pretty much just they would have to get really close in order to grasp at its prey. So probably the possible prey for Sinraptor would actually probably be like camptosaurs, kind of like dinosaurs that are like Camptosaurus, almost iguanodont-like. And also they probably did hunt some stegosaurs. Now, I don't know that much about the environment of what the fauna would have been like in China around that particular time, but there were sauropods there, like Mamenchisaurus and a few others, and there was probably some stegosaurs. I can't really name them all, but even though there were probably some iguanodont-like kind of dinosaurs, like some of the camptosaurs, and probably a few smaller bipedal herbivorous dinosaurs would have been good possible prey for Sinraptor. Now, even though it does have the name raptor, and it does not mean it's part of the Dromaeosaur family, or the raptor family. Just because it has raptor in the name does not mean it's part of the raptor family. I mean, it's really confusing when you actually try to get the understanding of this of naming some dinosaurs, because that actually happens from time to time. People get confused of, even though, like, say, like if there was a raptor like at the end of the name of a dinosaur, they would think like, oh, it's part of the raptor family, like Velociraptor. That's not really the case, because there are other dinosaurs that actually do have raptor in it, but even though they're not part of the Dromaeosaur family, like Raptor Rex, it's part of the Tyrannosaur family, but it's not really in the Dromaeosaur family, even though it does have raptor in the first part of the name. But also even though there are other dinosaurs that are out there like that, they actually do have raptor in the name, but they just don't mean they're not really part of the Dromaeosaur family. But anyway, since that Sinraptor is probably a medium-sized dinosaur, would probably hunt in pairs, so it probably would actually be more of like probably almost mated for life. And considering that the most common the top predator of the time at that time was the Anchuanosaurus, so those two would have been direct competition for food. But since they would probably live in different territories, whereas the Anchuanosaurus needs a little bit more bigger territories, where Sinraptor probably didn't need that much territory to actually hunt for food and also find water. So if we actually looked at Anchuanosaurus' territory, it would probably be more of the open areas, and probably some of the savanna kind of like areas. And also Sinraptor would probably be more indigenous to the forested areas, considering that it does have a smaller body size, and it would actually have to move around the trees to actually capture its prey. But when we look at the brain of allosaurs, they do have a good sense of smell, they have a good sense of hearing, they do have somewhat good eyesight, considering that their eyes are on the side of their heads, so they would not have very good binocular vision, like most of the tyrannosaurs would have. So when we actually talk about the vision of allosaurs, they're pretty much going to be looking from side to side. So they would only have to turn their heads like this in order to actually see who really is in front of them. Because if they try to look straight forward, it's very limited. So they're not really going to be looking straight forward all the time. So they would actually have to turn their heads side to side in order to actually find out what's in front of them. But they would probably use their sense of smell and their sense of hearing in order to catch their prey a lot more successfully. Because since sense of smell is very important to a predator. And since this is a predator, it probably did scavenge on occasion, but it probably only scavenged like some of the kills of Anchuanosaurus. But even though when Anchuanosaurus came along, then it would pretty much like say, get away from my food. That's pretty much what all predators do. Whenever there's a scavenger picking off the meat of the carcass of their prey, then that predator would actually chase away the scavenger to get away from the food. And considering that these animals probably live in the forested areas, they probably just hunted smaller prey or medium-sized prey. Because since the Anchuanosaurus would be hunting down the sauropods and some of the stegosaurs, so that's pretty much what the what kind of prey that these two dinosaurs would have actually hunted down. But of course, Sinraptor would probably be faster than the Anchuanosaurus, probably maybe in the range of 25 miles per hour, give or take. Allosaurs do have a pretty good speed for their body size. But when you get down to the Carcharodontosaurs, which are relatives of the allosaurs, they would pretty much be slowed down. They would not have very good speed. So when we actually look at Sinraptor, pretty much a fast dinosaur for its size. So it actually probably be running in between 20 to 25 miles per hour. Almost the same speed of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So Sinraptor, fast and pretty much a very agile dinosaur, whereas the Ancient would actually be a little bit slower, but even though it would actually have more power. So Sinraptor would use stealth, whereas Ancient would be used to strength. And that's how those two predators would have probably come in contact with each other. They probably just avoided each other most of the time. So Sinraptor would probably just walk away from the Ancient if it had to. And of course, the extinction of Sinraptor would just basically like most extinctions is climate change. Climate change would be the #1 catalyst for the extinction for like most of the Jurassic dinosaurs. Even though the Jurassic period does have an extinction that actually did happen around 145 million years ago. But we don't know for certain what caused that extinction. We can always say there are possibilities like climate change, dramatic climate change. That would probably be the #1 theory. But then there probably is another theory, which is that they probably went extinct from their own success, which is kind of strange, because you see, when people say that they're the victims of their own success, which means that new predators and new prey came around and just totally drove those primitive dinosaurs to extinction. Because if you have more advanced allosaurs coming in, then pretty much the primitive allosaurs would actually go extinct. But then when the prey is actually more adaptive to the new climate, then the old herbivores would actually be pushed into extinction as well. So I would say climate change is probably the #1 theory that would actually be the extinction of Sinraptor and most of the Jurassic dinosaurs during that time. Alright, that's it for now. So next week would actually be an answering questions episode. So if you have a question about dinosaurs or any other kind of prehistoric animals, feel free to email them to me at dinochris71@gmail.com. And also you can actually post the questions in the comment section of the Facebook post on my Facebook fan page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris on Facebook. Pretty much send the questions in the comment section. Make sure to leave where you're from, so that way I can actually know who it is that I'm actually, so that I know where you're from. You don't really have to put down your last name. You don't really have to put down your actual address. Just put down the city and state of where you're from. And also anybody around that is outside the country, just make sure to put down the town or city that you're from, and then put down your country, so that way I can actually know who it is that is actually sending me this question. And also follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter account in lower caps letters, and then you have the @ in front. So, and because I post pretty cool stuff on Twitter too, and also check out the pictures of the Ultimate Dinosaurs exhibit on the Facebook fan page, because I posted those last week, and they're just amazing skeletons. Some pictures are a little bit blurry, but even though, hey, I'm not that much of a photographer, so hopefully you guys actually get to like these skeletons. They're pretty amazing skeletons, to be honest with you. I think they're pretty cool, and get to see some dinosaur skeletons that you have never seen before in this exhibit. It's in the Science Museum of Minnesota and St. Paul. So feel free to go on there for this spring or this summer. It's going to be around until August, so I recommend go seeing it, because this is an amazing exhibit. Anyway, and Make sure to take care of the people around you, and also for you younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for a good education. It's very important to have a good education. When you have a great education, you can have a good job in the future. Alright, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week. Oops.